Welcome, everybody. I am Marilee Burnett, your astrologer, and I am back with the messages for the week of May 20th, which will include a really big, powerful full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. There's lots of big opportunities available this week. So we really want to make sure we align with the energy and we take advantage of it. So we're going to break it down like we always do, day by day. But if you're new to my channel, please click that little subscribe button so that you are notified every time I put out new content, such as the tarot card reading that is out for the week that you may want to go take a look at, because that will give you a specific message for your sun, moon, and rising sign related to this upcoming full moon in Sagittarius that will happen on Thursday. You can also go out to my website, marileeburnett.com, become a member, subscribe, and then you would get things like the full moon in Sagittarius article mailed out to you as well. And of course, I have special pricing if you'd want to book a session with me to do just a full moon reading or new moon reading. Those are just simpler and shorter, and so they're really, really cost effective if that's something that you're interested in exploring. All right. So with that, let's jump in because we have a lot to cover, and I'll try to give you a little mini rundown of the full moon and where that's happening for you as well. So this could take a little bit longer than normal because we have lots to talk about. So let's take a look at the week ahead, beginning with Monday, the 20th. And as you look at the screen in front of you, you will notice that the sun has now moved into the sign of Gemini. So this is the beginning of Gemini season. And that means that the heaviness of Taurus, the slowness, the seriousness, will start to lighten up. Gemini is an air sign. It is the sign of the twins, black and white, duality, two sides to everything, and communication and transportation and movement, working with your hands. All those things can be areas or topics that you can explore over the next 30 days as the sun moves through the sign. Now, this is the same area, of course, that the sun will be in as we get to the full moon on Thursday. But it's always important as energy changes, as it moves through the zodiac sign, as it changes houses in your own chart, the energy is changing and moving, and it should feel different. So the sun shines the spotlight, right, on topics about learning and communication and transportation. And at 0 degrees is something brand new, right? So this is our initiation point into this energy. So there's something for you to explore on this day. So you want to be open to doing the exploration. Also on Monday, if you look at the screen and you're looking at these green lines, and at the base of the green lines and what connects them here in the blue, almost looks like a little witch's hat. It's a yod. You've heard me probably talk about it before. It's a finger of God. It's a mission from God. And there is something that needs to change. Now, this will be brief because the moon moves through here pretty quickly. So you'll want to pay attention, right? This is about your intuition. This is trusting your gut when it comes to relationships, when it comes to legal issues, when it comes to trying to restore some balance, relating to people, all Libra topics, where the exit point is, which is through the moon, trusting our emotions and our intuition, is where the mission lies. Now, helping you is Jupiter in Taurus at 28 degrees, and it is speaking in harmony with Neptune here at 29 degrees, like the moon is in the sign of Pisces. So it is a pretty big deal. This thing's topic-wise can be about spirituality, it can be about growth, it can be about big secrets coming to the surface. So it is a pretty big event, and if you're meant to be a part of it, you'll feel called to it. You'll really feel drawn to do something maybe a bit dramatic, definitely something very karmic. So again, this will depend on where this is happening in your chart. So just something that I wanted to call out, even though it's a brief, it still could be impactful. So you just want to watch for and be aware of that, and trust your intuition. Don't let other people talk you out of making choices that are best for you. That could very well be what you are meant to do on Monday, as we have this brief event that will be happening in the skies. All right, so that kicks us off with Monday. As we move into Tuesday, speaking of that Jupiter-Neptune connection, now Jupiter's moved to 29. So 29, the end of the story, the end of the work that you've been doing for the last year while Jupiter's been moving through the sign of Taurus. So you've had a whole year to do this work. This is your final exam. This is your final test. This is your, in some ways, a reward, right? And then for others, you don't pass the test and you're not ready to pass it yet. So Jupiter has something big to show you over the next few days to help you see where you might have been missing the boat as far as the work is. And Taurus is beauty and love and money, sensual experiences, right? It's the five senses. So we're starting to see something critical that we need to make sure we don't miss. And this harmonious connection here to Neptune tells me that there might be something that requires a lot of faith on our part, but it's very helpful. Still, it's very subtle. So again, it's another day where paying attention to your emotions and your feelings and your intuition are really going to be important to helping you complete whatever this work is for you. So tune in and really pay attention to that. As we move ahead to Wednesday, as we're getting set up for this amazing full moon opportunity in Sagittarius, first, there's a pretty big conversation that is happening between the Sun and Pluto. So our ego self, our leadership, the Sun literally is shining a light on the underworld, right? Pluto rules the underworld. It rules fear. It rules death. It rules transformation. It rules rebirth. It rules power. So these are two big powerhouses coming together in the sky and somewhere in the collective on Earth as well, and in our lives. So you want to take advantage of it, right? This is air, Aquarius, where Pluto is now retrograde, and the Sun in Gemini, both air signs. So it can have something to do with the air. It could be a day where you want to be careful as far as tornadoes go, any kind of weather event. They're big and powerful together. The energy is positive and can help you in a big way, but it still can stir things up, right? We're talking about things being brought up to the surface to be resolved when you have the Sun shining a light on our fears, on the things that we're worried about, but we need to see them. That's the whole point of the event, right? Is instead of these things staying buried beneath the surface, whatever this is about for you and for us as a collective, it can come to the surface so that we can see it and we can resolve it. Now, Aquarius energy is inventive. It can be the internet. It can be hackers trying to do something wrong on this day, right? Using and abusing their power over the internet. So it's just going to be an interesting day to be tuning in and seeing this. But it's also a day where, the mind is a powerful tool for you. So think differently, change your thinking in one particular area of your life and see what opportunities present themselves to you as a result of those big changes. So I've moved this back to the exact time of this full moon in Sagittarius. So we're looking at Thursday. It's about 6:15 in the morning on the West Coast. Of course, it'll be later depending on where you're at if you're not on the West Coast. But the number 2 in numerology is about balance. And so is Gemini. When you look at the twins, the back and forth, the light and dark, right? You need both sides of something to have the full and the complete picture. And so the sun shines the light on the moon, of course, bringing it to fullness. And whatever this is that you're working on in your own life, it's bringing it to completion. And so Sagittarius topics: foreign people, foreign country, foreign places, higher education, our higher self, right? The spiritual self. It's where we experience growth beyond our current boundaries, right? This is a much bigger picture because Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. So it's meant to move you forward. I always look at this arrow symbol for Sagittarius as forward movement, right? It's a fire sign. It's about moving forward and moving forward swiftly with confidence, right? There's a passion. So there's something you're passionate about, some growth opportunity that you're passionate about that can be coming to fullness or completion at this time. And it gives you the full picture when you've got the sun in Gemini. If you think about, younger education, elementary level, and then the moon's in Sagittarius, and you're thinking like PhD, right? So I've got the full spectrum of learning exposed at this time of the full moon. So I literally get to see the full picture of whatever this topic is for you in your chart. So we start there and know that there is this pressure, this tension, this balance that's needed because the full moon is created by opposition, and opposition creates tension that we become aware of so we can do something with it. Now, also very helpful at this time is that Pluto and the sun conversation that is still carrying on from yesterday. So this is a big, powerful full moon event that can take something from the past where you felt powerless, and now this can be turned into your superpower, right? This can be something that's turned into a strength for you where balance can be restored in your life. So what have the topics been that you've been exploring ever since Pluto moved into the sign of Aquarius at the beginning of this year? Now, it's just recently turned retrograde here at the end of April. And so maybe it's even the March-April timeframe, right? As we went through all of the eclipse energy. What were you exploring? What did you need to let go of? What are you ready to rebirth, right? That's something very, very helpful is going on when you lean into your power and you move away from fear. Then this Pluto energy is helping you conclude this goal that you have for yourself in the house where you keep focused on creating what you want, right? Something that you're passionate about. So it's speaking in harmony with your ego self, the sun, and your emotional self, the moon. So this is a big deal. Just that alone, the influence of Pluto makes this a really important full moon. So emotions will be extreme because not everybody's going to tap into Pluto the way they should, right? There's going to potentially be some who tap into the fearful side. And those people won't respond well. Whenever we have a full moon, we know not everybody responds well to how much intensity there is, but it is meant to be helpful. So we lean into that, right? That's what we want. That's how we set our intentions. And then we still have that energy of Neptune speaking in harmony with Jupiter, but now Venus has joined the storyline as well. So we have these three very helpful planets, and Jupiter and Venus are considered the most benefic planets. Neptune has two sides to it. It can be very helpful and spiritual, or it can be very much delusional. So again, kind of like Pluto, you're choosing how you're tapping into this energy. Very helpful for creative projects, musical endeavors, spirituality. There is, again, a huge blessing potentially in your life. But I've really felt into this as it's a very karmic opportunity. So you're going to get out of this whatever you've been putting into it lately, whatever work you've been doing. And then, of course, wherever this is showing up for you. The thing about the 29 degrees is, it's a critical degree, it's anaretic, and it can be like too much goodness. Like you go to Cinnabon and you have 6 Cinnabons when you should have only had a half, right? It's like too much of a good thing. So you just are really going to have to stay centered, because there is going to be a lot going on, and being centered and being grounded will help you know how best to respond to this energy. But there's a lot. Now, blue is, again, the lines, these connections, it's very beneficial. It's very harmonious, very supportive energy, but Pluto makes it interesting. The ruler of this full moon being Sagittarius ruler, of course, Jupiter, at 29 with Venus, there's a major potential good blessing coming. But there's also just a little bit too much of everything. And so, again, we're going to have to see how this plays out on the world stage. But huge opportunity. So if you have something you've been sitting on the fence waiting for, now's the time to do it, right? We're ready. This, to me, feels like the culmination of all the work that we've been doing through the eclipse season that we've had so far this year, through the heavy Mercury retrograde. And now we're ready to get things going and moving forward. We're ready for growth, right? We're done playing small. There is some opportunity to really go big at the time of this full moon, and we absolutely want to take advantage of it. So let's do a quick rundown on each sign in the house. So where this growth opportunity could show up for you. I'm just going to cover these really briefly. So Aries, this happens in the 9th house, of course, which is the Sagittarius house, the house that Jupiter rules over. So you have all the things that I just talked about, a tremendous growth opportunity possible for you. Could be something about a foreign country, a foreign person, going overseas, travel, higher education. A goal that you have in those areas is coming to fullness. Taurus, this happens in your 8th house. So the 8th house is all about transformation and rebirth. It also is about the resources that we get from other people. So potentially, let's say you've been looking for financing, this would be a perfect opportunity for you to secure that financing so that you can complete your big project. Geminis, this happens in your 7th house. So this is a house of marriage and commitment. Could be personal or business. So a relationship goal that you have for yourself may come to fullness at this time. Now, Cancers, this happens in your 6th house. The 6th house rules things that involve our day-to-day life, like our health, like our pets, our work, being of service. So this is something that's important to you, a growth opportunity that is a part of your day-to-day life. So maybe there's a big project that you are completing as a result of working with somebody overseas, for example. Leo, this happens in your 5th house, which you rule. And the 5th house is the heart, it's love, it's passion. It's also our children, it's our hobbies. So something in that area of your life is coming to fullness, coming to completion. Maybe you've been trying to have a child or get pregnant, then that may very well be happening at this time. Virgos, this happens for you in your 4th house of home and family. Your house may be full of family at this time. You may be buying a home or renovating your home, right? With that Pluto energy of rebirth helping you, it is infusing energy into your home at this time and making your house feel full. Libras, this happens in your third house. Now, the third house is all about communication and transportation. It's the community that you're a part of. So if you have some kind of goals that you have been working on in your community, a community project, for instance, this would be a great time to bring that to fullness. Something about the community that you're a part of can be coming to a close, and maybe that means you're moving out of your community and on to somewhere else. Scorpio, this happens in your second house. So the second house brings completion involving your career, the money you make. It could be something involving beauty, could be something involving love and relationships. And this, again, second house, and we've talked a bit about the number 2. So there could be a whole opportunity to restore balance to yourself as well. Sagittarius, this of course happens in your first house. So it's very personal for you. This is you achieving a big personal goal. Could be, again, maybe you have been working on yourself and improving yourself. Maybe you've been working on a degree. And especially if the earlier born you are, right, the closer you are to the 2 degrees, or the closer your rising sign or your moon sign is to 2 degrees, these things will be more impactful. But this feels good. It feels like a good, happy completion for you. So enjoy it. And we move forward to Capricorn. So Capricorn, this happens for you in your 12th house. Now the 12th house can be large institutions. It can be about your spirituality, your connection to spirit. It could be things that are hidden from you, or it could be something to do with, if you work for a large company, for instance, a big project coming to close. A job could be coming to an end so that a better one could come in for you. And sometimes because it's in the 12th house and it's about the subconscious mind, we may not even be aware of what it is that's coming to an end, but it is a really good time to do things like some of my hypnosis work to help you clear out and end that repetitive thinking that just does not serve you. And then we have Aquarius. It's happening in your 11th house. So the 11th house is your friend groups. It's your benefactors. I like to call this your fairy godparent house. So there could be a big financial benefit to you at this time. There could be a mentor who is helping you achieve a personal goal. At this time, it could be making new friends, leaving old friends, wherever that is happening for you. It's bringing changes to the people who are part of your day-to-day life, and they can help you achieve your goals too. So don't feel like you have to do it alone. And then last but not least, we have Pisces. Pisces, this happens in your 10th house, which is about your career. It's your reputation. It's your fame, notoriety. So there is a big achievement in your career for you at this time, which should feel pretty amazing. All right. That's all of the signs. And believe it or not, we still have more to talk about besides this amazing full moon. So let me move us ahead and we will talk about Friday. All right. Always trying to be mindful of your time. So now we have Venus moving into the sign of Gemini as well. So Venus is leaving her home sign of Taurus, where she's been very happy. The stock market has been very happy while Venus has been at home. Jupiter's, making the stock market bigger still, and it will soon follow. But keep an eye out on how the stock market transitions as these planets move out of the sign of Taurus. But as Venus moves into Gemini, we become more communicative in our relationships. I'm going to fix my face here. Okay. As Venus moves into Gemini, we become more communicative, right? Gemini is the great communicator, right? And that means love language is literally about speaking lovingly with one another. You also might like a lot more of variety in the things that you usually love. You might be more willing to branch out and try new things. So we have that energy going on today as well. And as Venus moves in here, it is going to continue to have a positive conversation like the sun is with Pluto, still in the sign, of course, of Aquarius. And now it is dropping back into the 1 degree territory. So just moved out of the 2 degrees back into 1. So there may be a subtle shift, a subconscious shift that is going on at this time too. My only caution here is if you think you're starting a new relationship, and it is a Friday, right? Just to be cautious, because they can be a lot of fun, a lot of sexual tension, but it can also go to extremes where it feels a little over the top. So just keep that in mind, but it does make for a very intense connection as far as love goes when you have Venus speaking with Pluto. All right. I think that was all I wanted to talk about on Friday. So let's move ahead to Saturday. And Saturday, speaking of conversations and communication, Mercury in Taurus is now with that in conjunct, that green line, having an odd or awkward conversation with something from the past. Now, it could be a person, it could be a legal issue. It's very karmic when it's the South Node. It's some lesson from the South Node that can feel a bit uncomfortable, or it can help you deal with something because of the experiences that you've had in the past. So this really just depends on where this is showing up for you and what this conversation will sound like. But it's usually a little odd and awkward when we are dealing with in conjunct energy, which is a 150-degree angle, which is just doesn't quite fit right. So also, if you're strangely stuck in your head or getting weird ideas, don't think too heavily on it, right? Maybe jot it down, because maybe you're going to get some crazy inspiration today as well. But if you feel yourself like spiraling, go do something different to break up this energy so it doesn't continue to weigh you down too much. All right. And then we are on to Sunday. And Sunday is that moment where we now have Jupiter also moved into the sign of Gemini. So this officially ends a full year of work that we have had with Jupiter going through the sign of Taurus. And so now, again, things are going to pick up. And if you thought the first part of the year moved quickly, now you may see a lot of kind of back and forth. But there's definitely a tempo that feels a lot lighter, fun. Mercury is a jokester, where Taurus is so serious and heavy. So it is definitely a big shift. Now, Jupiter isn't necessarily strong in the sign of Gemini. In fact, we would say Jupiter's at fall, because Gemini is the opposing sign to its home sign of Sagittarius, which we see directly across here. So Jupiter energy likes to be big, right? It likes to expand our horizons. And in Gemini, which is our small little local community, it can almost feel like you're kind of like busting at the seams here. But look back to 2012, because that's the last time that we had Jupiter move into the sign of Gemini. So you have some experience with it. In fact, every 12 years, the energy repeats. And so that means that 12-year cycle of Jupiter in Taurus came to an end, but now the 12-year cycle of Jupiter in Gemini begins, and it will be here for the next year. So we're going to start to see that Jupiter and Venus and the sun are still having some pretty good conversations with Pluto. So this energy of change and transformation and rebirth continues. And we'll talk next week more about Jupiter and how that week will start off. And this conversation gets even more exact. The other thing that happens today is the moon in Capricorn, another place where a planet, this is technically a luminary, is at fall because the moon is at home in Cancer across the way here. And when it's in Capricorn, it has to get feelings more under control, right? They have to be more structured. But it also means that your intuition is working for you, right? The workhorse, that Capricorn energy. But there's something fated about the work because that moon is going to be squaring with its nodes. Nodes are a mathematical placement on basically in space around the moon, but they don't exist. But they control our fate and our karma and our destiny. So something about that needs to change when the moon is having a hard square aspect. Now the moon is constantly aspecting the nodes. So you'll notice this more if you have planets between this 10 and 15 degrees, especially if they're in these specific signs. Otherwise, you just might notice you're a little more cranky and you need to put yourself in a timeout and change things up a little bit. The thing that helps us is at the same time that the moon is having this difficult conversation with the nodes, it will be speaking in harmony with Mercury. So pay attention to, again, your thoughts, your downloads, your intuition, conversations around you, because you might come across some important information that will end up being really, really helpful to you. All right. Hopefully I didn't move too fast through all of that for you. If you feel like I did, of course you can watch this again. I will put the timestamps out there so that you can look at the section about each of the signs, each of the days. So try to make it easier. I know some people who only watch it a day at a time. Some people come back and just check in on the day when things are happening. So I try to make it as easy as I can on you. And if you prefer written conversations or topics, I should say, go check out my website, again, marileyburnett.com. I'll have links down below to the full moon in Sagittarius article. But if you are a member of my website, you'll find that you'll see that in your inbox very shortly as well. So hopefully this is a great, exciting week that you've been showing up and doing the work. I suggest that you get aligned with that earth energy. This week would be a great week to redo your flower pots, right? Get in that earthy energy with Jupiter and Venus there and see what you dig up, right? See what seeds you plant, see what's going to grow as a result of the work that you've been doing. And keep me posted because I love your comments. All right. Hope to see some of you. Let me know how the week goes, and we'll talk again next week. Take care, everybody.